Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Droid Life Show, episode 101 today. It's February 5th. I'm your host, Kellen. With me is Tim. Say hi real quick.
Hey guys, how's it going? Tim here.
So we just wrapped up episode 100 on Wednesday. Ron joined us. Sort of a special occasion. We kind of just took you guys back through some of our favorite memories in Android and all that good stuff. It was a good time. But it's time now to get back onto actual news coverage, recapping everything that's going on, especially with Mobile World Congress right around the corner. We're actually, what, 2 weeks? 2 weeks out from that, which is kind of crazy. So essentially what we want to do on this show, because we haven't done a news type show in, it's probably been like a month ever since we did our CES recap, I think. We want to go back through all the rumors up to this point for the phones we're expecting in the very near future. And that's Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge, LG G5, and then HTC's new phone. And then if, we get through all of that quickly and no one wants to talk about that stuff, we have some other things going on, but we really just kind of want to catch everyone up there because, again, we're 2 weeks away. I would imagine the rumors and leaks are only just going to ramp up from here. So we might as well catch up and go forward from there. So, also, in case you're wondering and you're listening live, or maybe even not listening live, we ran the contest for episode 100 where we're giving away a gold 6P and a whole bunch of Google Play credit. We're going to pick our winners right after we wrap this show, and we'll start sending those emails out. So it is Friday the 5th again, and if you win, you will get an email this afternoon. So stay tuned for those. All right, so obviously the big phones of the first half of the year at least got to be whatever Samsung's doing. It's been like this for years, but still the same deal. So Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge, we are fully expecting on February 21st at a press event at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. Samsung has sent the invites out. While they didn't say Galaxy S7, it's an unpacked, and they're going to show off the next Galaxy. And in the teaser for it, there's a box, and one of the corners opens up and makes a 7, if you want to look at it like that. I think we all know the S7's coming. So next rumor has it that March 11th, it might be in stores. So that's what, 3 weeks after? 2 weeks after?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Yeah. So basically 3 weeks after, it could be in stores and available for purchase. FCC filings for the S7 and S7 Edge for AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, and US Cellular all showed up yesterday. So we're sort of on track for these phones to arrive any day now. We've got Geekbench specs and other rumored specs, and we've got the first images of this device. There's a lot. I mean, we're starting to know almost everything there is to know about the Galaxy S7. I remember at one point, Samsung always kept their stuff under wraps really, really good. And then in the last couple of years, that's kind of, I mean, they're still pretty good at it. We don't really have any live photos, I don't think. We just have press renders. But so let's see. Should we talk first about maybe the images that we've seen?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
we've seen quite a few now.
Yeah, so EvLeaks has tossed out a couple of images. They're press renders is sort of what we refer to them as. And we've got front and back looks at both of these. And so I think, well, I guess step back for a minute. We're down to just two models, right? We think it's the Galaxy S7 and then the S7 Edge. And there's no plus, but the S7 Edge is kind of like the bigger plus, right?
Bigger.
That's sort of, okay. So for a while, there was this rumor floating around there's going to be three models. It's going to be S7, S7 Edge, and S7 Edge Plus. And then basically everyone in the leak game wasn't sure. And some people said there was two, some said three. And I think now we're reduced down to just the two. Except it's confusing everyone because, yeah, the Edge is the bigger phone, except we're not calling it a Plus this year sort of thing. So anyways, hopefully that makes sense. In the images, we have two phones. We have the the S7, and then the S7 Edge, which is a slightly bigger version with the edges and all that stuff. In terms of what they look a lot like last year's phone, the S6 and S6 Edge Plus, except they seem maybe just slightly more rounded on the top corners. And I believe the backside sort of has that curve to it that the Note 5 had. So they might be a little bit easier to handle. But in terms of size, it looks like the S7 is probably going to be about the size of the S6, and the S7 Edge is going to be about the size of the S6 Edge Plus. We have maybe a slightly more rectangular, squared off home button that'll double as a fingerprint sensor. You still have capacitive buttons for app switching it back. What about the backside? The backside, we're hearing that the camera might be a little more flush with the backside, but you can't really tell from, a press render if that's the case. And that's sort of it, right? In terms of appearance. The images that Evan showed us are a black version, and the phone actually looks black rather than that deep blue that last year's supposed black version looked like. But I don't know. What do you think? I mean, we both, I think, liked the design from last year. So are you cool with them basically putting out the same look again?
Yeah, pretty much. I guess as long as they pay attention to the software, which would be good. I mean, they did that really well last year. They definitely trimmed down TouchWiz, but as we saw over the course of a few months, TouchWiz was starting to slow down and it was doing its regular jank BS. So I do like the look of these. Definitely a bit more rounded, I would say, especially when you have kind of like the side by side, the S7 versus the S6, and definitely rounded. But I kind of like it. It almost kind of looks more bubbly, I guess. It actually reminds me quite a bit of the S3 from way back in the day. Just sort of that bubbly look. Thankfully, I doubt it'll feel like an S3, which is good because that phone was all plastic and stuff. Right. So it should be good. I'm definitely excited. I mean, the backside looks exactly the same as last year's. Nothing too innovative going on there. But you can't expect them to innovate every year. But I dig it so far. I think it's fine. We have to wait till we get our hands on to really do any type of impressions. But
yeah.
I mean, it's just more of the same, I would say, which is fine. I mean, it's sort of typical Samsung. They find a winning formula. Everyone seemed to like what they put out last year. So, why change it up too much? I mean, HTC did really good with the One M7, so they figured they'd do the same thing like 3-4 years in a row. So why not?
Just go like 3-4 years straight with the same S6 design.
Yeah, totally. If it works.
The one thing I will say is the backside, and again, it's sort of tough to tell from renders, but it looks like it's sort of curved, like potentially on the Note 5. And if they're doing that, curving that maybe means these phones might be slightly thicker, which hopefully means bigger battery.
Bigger battery.
Because in order to curve something, right, like it has to sort of like roll up. So I'm hoping that means maybe slightly thicker. Nobody needs a phone. I actually have the S6 out. Nobody really needs a phone this thin. Like if you add a couple millimeters onto that thing, I don't think anyone's going to complain if that means that much bigger of a battery. So, and then, if the camera housing's flush, not that I really minded this hump. I mean, I'd rather it not be there, but it never really was that big of a deal. So, I mean, the look is, it's last year's design, mostly slightly tweaked, potentially, maybe a little more round. But if you liked the Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge, you're probably gonna like the looks of these. If you didn't like the looks of those, obviously you're probably not gonna like the looks of these either. One other thing though, the S6 Edge Plus, I think I reviewed that, and you had the Note 5, and it was one of those phones where it was really nice, and I appreciated the big curved screen and it was gorgeous, but the backside was purely flat and it was pretty uncomfortable to hold. It was sort of like the regular S6 Edge 2 was that way. So if this S7 Edge is curved a little bit, that's going to be much nicer, because you had those like the edges on the sides and then that flat back, and it just created this sort of sharp edge. So if they can curve that all around, it could be really nice to hold. It may make me reconsider an Edge phone.
I really liked the Edge last year. I didn't think it was like totally innovative and groundbreaking, but the idea is really cool, especially when we're talking Android OS and material design with the pull-out drawers. I absolutely loved that when I was, in Google Play or Google Maps, and I would pull out the drawer from the left panel and kind of accessing that over the curve, the edge.
Yes, and I hated it.
Really, I really liked that feeling for some reason. It made it almost seem like the OS itself was kind of 3D-ish or layered or something. I just thought it was really a cool effect. But at the end of the day, that's all it was just an effect. I don't know if I never used any like Edge features, except for the review. Like it has a stock ticker and all this crap that was just totally pointless. There's no real actual use. So,
well, the only useful thing would have been I think it was called like People Edge or something, where you could swipe out to your favorite contacts, except they never added any integration with any apps that anyone actually uses. It was like Samsung, a couple of their own crappy apps, and that was it.
Yeah, like if you want to use a Samsung text messaging app or,
Right.
to dial people, like first of all, I don't call people. Second of all, I don't use text messaging. So if I don't have Google Voice or Hangouts integration, then it's totally worthless for me.
Yeah, because they didn't open it up, right, to where you could just add any app. It was just
Mm,
specific, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was
So
definitely specific there at the beginning.
so stupid. So hopefully they fix that this year and add some more functionality, because that was just,
Samsung has been better about that, especially when it comes to like multi-window. I mean, over the years now, they've been getting a lot better with letting the third-party people build that integration in.
that's true. It has gotten slightly better. Let's see. What do we have in terms of specs? So we're thinking S6 will just have a 5.1-inch display again, like last year's S7. I'm sorry, the S7.
Vice versa.
Yeah, the S7 will have a 5.1-inch like the S6, and then the S7 Edge will have probably a 5.5-inch like the S6 Edge Plus. Are we expecting Snapdragon 820 here in the US?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so Snapdragon 820 as a processor here in the US instead of the Exynos, whatever Samsung's newest is. And are we still buying into SD card slots?
Oh
We are,
yeah.
right? So we're pretty
Oh,
sure SD card slot, water resistance, and the rumored batteries are 3,000 milliamp hour for the little guy, the S7, and 3,600 for the S7 Edge. So that would be great. I would love for a Galaxy S7 with a thicker battery to last while. I mean, the S6 still to this day, like in hand, this phone feels so great. It's just the battery life. It didn't matter what carrier I was using that on either. It lasted about 5.5 hours and was dead. So I'll take a 3,000 milliamp hour battery in there. Hopefully some extra tweaks.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the way they're making it sound, at least, from these benchmarks and specs and all that stuff, totally nothing confirmed by any means, but it sounds like a beast of a phone. And we're talking about seeing this in February and then a launch in March. I mean, it makes me really excited for the first half of this year, but then it also excites me for the second half of this year. I mean, if this is what we're getting in the first half, I can only imagine what like the Note 6 is going to be like, or, in terms of specs and all that. I mean, the cameras are probably going to be legit because they're not going to take a step backwards in the camera department. And displays will be gorgeous. I mean, these phones should be pretty darn good. I mean, the S6 would have been phone of the year had it not been for those meddling kids at Google and Huawei making a killer Nexus 6P. But the S6 was right up there because it was just a really good phone all around. Sure, it had some battery issues and software issues, but at the end of the day, it was a solid smartphone.
Yeah, still one of the best cameras in any smartphone.
Absolutely.
So we're looking at 4 gig RAM, 32 gig and 64 gig storage options, but again, SD card slot. And the kind of crazy rumor you just mentioned, the camera, it sounds like they may drop back to a 12 megapixel sensor, which isn't a terrible deal. Like, we're not talking HTC's 4 ultra pixel sensor. We're just going from 16 back to 12, which is still a pretty high resolution, right? And they think it's going to have f1.7 lens. And I would imagine if they're going back to 12. So do you think if they go back to 12, they're basically going with the camera that Google just used in the Nexus 6P and 5X? Like, because out of nowhere, they're kind of running with this 12 megapixel camera.
It's quite possible. I was trying to determine this. It's the same. Say we're just talking about the S7. It's the same screen size as last year's, but on last year's we have a little bit of a camera hump. And if they're slimming down the sensor to something smaller, then it's possible that the camera will be more flush with the backside. Maybe that was something they wanted to address from last year's design, which is a possibility with a smaller sensor. But if it is the one in the 6P, that's okay. I'm sure Samsung is going to be doing their tweaks because I don't think this camera on the 6P is nearly as saturated as something we would see from a Samsung device because the greens are so green, purples are so purple on those phones, but it's a fantastic shooter. So
yeah, they'll do whatever they need to do to it, and they'll probably add OIS too.
Sure. I mean, they're Samsung. They can do whatever.
Yeah, they can do whatever. Yeah, I mean, so last year with the S6 and S6 Edge, I was excited because it seemed like it was this new Samsung, and they were going glass and metal, and it was something totally different, new. I'm still excited about these two phones because last year's were so good. Kind of like you just said, like I can't wait to now see what the Note 6 is and all this. I'm pretty excited about these because Samsung is building some pretty incredible phone. I mean, when you talk about the everything they're throwing, they're throwing everything in these. Actually, number one, they're just throwing it all. I mean, these phones will have the fast wireless charging that the Note 5 has. They'll still have Samsung Pay. The cameras will be insane. Like the only real worries now are how big is the battery and is it going to be good enough? And then how terrible is the software, or have they improved it more over last year? So.
Yeah,
And,
I mean,
and look, I can deal with sort of crappy software because it's Android. You can still kind of customize it. Battery life, I eventually just couldn't deal with the S6 battery life anymore and just ditched it. So
yeah, the first comment on the benchmarking post for this was from Lafava 07, but he said, same old, same old. After 3 months after release, people will be complaining about the lag. And then 9 months after release, people will be complaining about lack of updates, and that's actually a good point, not necessarily the lag, because I mean, I would hope 4 gigs and a Snapdragon 820 could fix the lag, but clearly we'll never fix the lag problem with Android.
No.
Jank is just baked right into the OS, but Samsung could do so much better in terms of transparency with updates. I mean, we have owners here who do not have Marshmallow yet, and it's February.
no Samsung phone has Marshmallow yet.
Yeah,
Think about that.
And that's a problem. They're releasing the new phone, dude. And sure, it'll launch with Marshmallow,
Right.
and then Marshmallow will probably roll out to the rest of them. But the fact that you have to wait a year to get a meaningful software update is complete bull.
Yeah. So Marshmallow, we were going to talk about this later. So Marshmallow came out in October. It's February. And not one Samsung phone outside of like some betas that are sort of rolling out to like 60 people.
Sure.
Like it doesn't have Marshmallow. You got to be kidding me. Like I know you're Samsung and you have lots of phones and people to deal with, but you should also hire some people to deal with the shit. Like that is insane. Like LG's pushing Marshmallow left and right to the G3 even. So how come Samsung can't put it on one phone? Note 5, no. Galaxy S6, no. None of these phones have it. Like I fired up my AT&T Note 5 this week, and I was like, oh, I bet I have an update. It's been sitting for like 2 months and hasn't moved. I fired it up, turned it on, no update. They haven't issued anything in a while.
Yep. If you go to the distribution numbers on Google's site, and Marshmallow's still sitting at like 1% or whatever, I blame that entirely on Samsung. Samsung probably by far has the most saturation in the market in terms of handsets.
Oh yeah.
And they refuse to push not that they refuse, I don't even know what the problem is, or if there is even a problem. Maybe they just don't care. They're like, we'll get to it when we get to it.
They're probably going to announce the new phones and say they're running Marshmallow, and we're also going to push updates in the next week. And they're probably waiting because they think it'll be a good idea to just announce it then. It's like, no, we'd rather you just do it now.
Well, it's possible that the Marshmallow update, in conjunction with whatever they're doing with TouchWiz, is so special to them that they don't want to. It will be going to the S6 and S6 Edge and Note 5. They just don't want to show that off yet before they get a chance to show it off on the new hardware.
I didn't think about that, but that could be.
It's a possibility, but again, that's marketing BS, and that's crap for consumers. And Samsung has never been good about it. I think we just let them kind of get away with it because like they make probably like the best phones overall, with the cameras and displays and all that. But as Android users, we're definitely getting screwed a little bit. So
yes, we are getting screwed.
Yeah.
Like I've been jumping between 6P and Moto X here for a few weeks now. But I fired up the Note 5 and I kind of did the thing I always do when I pick that phone up. Like, oh, it'd be nice to use this phone for a while, but I'm not going to go back to Lollipop. I'm just not. I got another handful of options that are running Marshmallow. I don't know why I would go back.
Yeah, I don't even know what Lollipop is. No thanks.
It's frustrating. All right, so we think we know specs. We know they're going to get unveiled on the 21st. They could be in stores by March 11th at every major carrier. And they've stopped off at the FCC. FCC docs didn't really reveal anything new. I dug through them for like a good hour. and didn't really find anything new. I tried to get to find the dimensions, and they were buried in an appendix that I believe they removed, so we couldn't see. So I didn't get to find that. One thing I'm curious about, though, is it was one filing for all of the variants. So I'm wondering if that means there's really just one phone, and then they're gonna just sort of like tweak the which bands are available and then distribute those out, right? Because Verizon, all of their phones ship unlocked, but they basically block any other LTE band except their own. But they're like, oh yeah, it works on GSM networks except not LTE. So there might just be a single model, basically.
Well, and that could be a huge fix for the software issue. You know, if you have one SKU and then have all the bands inside, but then sure, disable, enable for whichever carrier you're sending it to, that could really help in the long term when we're thinking software updates, even though, you know, they'll never come. Right. But it could be really helpful if Samsung hires like 5 engineers or developers to work on Android. It'd be good.
You would think they could put together a couple of teams to maybe work on some software.
I'm sure they have.
You know, they're pretty big. How many employees does Samsung have?
It's got to be like 50,000 at least, because I mean they are so global.
So in 2014,
come on, 50,000.
In 2014, Ars Technica wrote, Samsung has more employees than Google, Apple, and Microsoft combined.
Oh, so they've got like 150 then.
Well, this little chart right here says they have 275,000.
Well, Google is always sitting right around 50,000. Apple's like at 35,000, and Microsoft, I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know where their numbers came from, but this says Samsung at 275,000, Google at 47, Apple at 80,000, Microsoft at 99,000, and Sony at 105.
Well, we know those Sony numbers aren't correct.
Not anymore. Yeah, I mean this was 2014, so
yeah,
that is crazy. So you're telling me you don't have like a couple hundred engineers that could just get like some updates ready or something? Jesus,
who knows?
I don't know either.
It's a sticky situation. I mean, at least at least they didn't promise anything. You know, you got companies like HTC, you know, with their last breath, they're like, okay, we promise to have updates out to you within like 90 days or whatever, and they're almost like struggling to meet that. But at least they're doing it.
That no one bought.
Exactly. But at least they're doing it, and I can appreciate that.
They are. We didn't mean to like rag on HTC, but we looked at this. So when they announced, Tim's talking about the HTC One A9. So when they announced it, they said within 15 days of Nexus devices getting updates, the One A9 will get them. And so we're 2 months in. Well, this will be the third month, right? So we'll see this month. We're 2 months in, and we looked to see if they made their 15-day deadline. In the first month, on the 15th day, they tweeted like the update's ready. And so the first month they barely got in, and then the second month I think they were like 2 days late, weren't they?
Like 3 days, I think.
Yeah, the second month they were already like 2 or 3 days late. So we'll see what happens in February, because Google's pushing them, and Google started pushing well, I got the update this week, but they started pushing them out like on the 2nd, I think it was. So if by the 17th the HTC One A9 doesn't have an update, they've already missed another one in the third month of this phone's life. We're talking about a single phone that like has reduced sense down, and it's one phone. So I don't know. Different topic for another day, but yeah, we're Tim and I are keeping track kind of though, just to see. I mean, when you make promises like that, you kind of have to stick to that stuff. So, all right. So what else is Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge? Or wait, are you sad that there might not be a smaller S7 Edge? Do you mind?
No, not exactly.
So if you were going to buy one, would you go small S7 or big S7 Edge?
That's tough.
Because, both you and I have been using 6P and Moto X for a while, and they're both big phones. And that, to drop back to something like this, like where is so here's 6P versus little guy.
Bring him back a little bit.
Wait, where am I? Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, look at that. I wouldn't mind going back to the small just for a few months, Yeah. It's nice having a big phone, but I noticed it especially. I walk my dogs multiple times a day, and I got 2 of them, so I always have to put the leashes in one hand and phone in another. If I'm trying to text, I
It's
cannot
tough.
do that with one hand. So on the S6, I can do that. So I would happily go back to a smaller phone, at least when I'm walking the dogs, to get
Yeah.
personal.
Yeah, as long as, again, the battery isn't too small and lasts a while. I would love to go back to a small. I mean, you know me, deep down inside, I will always prefer a smaller phone as long as it's good enough.
Sure.
And yeah, it's for me, it's going to come down to battery life. I could deal with TouchWiz, but if the S7's battery lasts a really, really long time, at least a full day, because that was the problem with this phone. I mean, like my Moto X Pure and even my Nexus 6P, like they get me through a day comfortably. I go to bed and it's 20% or something. This phone, I mean, it was dying on me every day by like 3 p.m. I just had to recharge it. And then by 9 or 10 o'clock at night, when I'm using my phone heaviest, like in the evening, I was charging it again. I was charging this phone twice a day. That's crazy. And then going to bed and just assuming it was going to die. So I put it on the charger as I slept. So.
Your love for small phones has gotten you in trouble, especially last year, because when the Nexus phones were coming, we finally found out there was going to be 2. You were like, "Oh, I want the smaller one, the 5X." Turned out to be the somewhat crappier Nexus device. And so I felt kind of bad for you. I was like, "Dude, I got this premium 6P. This thing is a beast," and the 5X was sort of lackluster.
I actually picked up the like mint greenish 5X. It's never been out of the box.
It's not that good of a phone.
It's Google did something wrong with the software there. They did something really wrong because I've played with I don't know how many phones. Well, the Moto X Pure Edition runs an 808, Snapdragon 808, and it flies. It's buttery smooth all the time. And the 5X has an 808, and it is the jankiest thing I've used. It's got to be software related. I can't imagine it's hardware. It's got enough RAM. It's got 2 gig RAM, and it's got a processor. It should be fine. And it's not. Yeah.
Poor 5X.
Poor little 5X. All right. So anything else? S7 Edge?
Bring it on.
Same thing. I mean, we have to expect pricing is going to be the same. $200 on a contract or $650 off.
Yeah,
broken
expensive
up
as
into
hell at first. And then they won't sell any, and then they'll cut the hell out of the price, and you'll start getting it for $5.99 full retail.
Yeah. Well, I was talking at I think it was just somebody in the comments the other day. They mentioned how they were going to buy the unlocked. And I said to them, you're exactly right. All you have to do is wait about a month and a half, and the unlocked international version will drop like $100, and we'll be posting a deal for on eBay. It'll be $550 or something like that, unlocked, and it'll work on AT&T and T-Mobile.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it, folks.
It really is. All right, so the next big phone is the LG G5. So LG confirmed this week, sent out, well, it's kind of weird. A couple of weeks ago, they sent out this random invite to just like 10 media outlets or something, and saying they're going to do something on the 21st, something about it's time to play or something like that. And then they waited a couple of weeks, and then just 2 days ago, so Wednesday, they sent out invites to everyone and posted it on Twitter as well. And it said G5 is coming. It said hashtag LGG5 February 21st, hashtag MWC16. So I mean, it's confirmed. The LG G5 is coming. That's the name. They didn't say anything else about it, of course, but we know that's what the phone is and when it's coming. So we don't really know with this one when it's going to be available to buy. Like Samsung and the S7s, people keep saying March 11th. I think we've heard that a couple times. I think EvLeaks said it, and I think a couple other people have even said it now. G5, we don't really know. Like LG seems like they've moved up the timeline, right? Because they used to release phones April, May-ish, I think. So they're earlier. Does that mean this phone's not going to be ready for a month and a half? Like when do you think the G5 is going to be ready?
March.
I think it'll be March.
Yeah, I think it'll be March, and although I think it could possibly be later March.
Yeah,
not the same like weekend as the S6 or S7. Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
I bet it'll be. I think you might be right with March. But yeah, I wouldn't doubt if it's like 2 weeks later. You know, like Samsung will do the 11th, and LG won't be able to for 2 weeks or something. So in terms of the device, so no one had really seen this thing, And then one weekend, we received some pictures of what we believe to be the G5 in a dummy box. And for those not familiar, a dummy box it's a protective case, basically, that manufacturers put around prototype phones so that no one can see them. And in case they leak, they're not actually leaking because they're in a dummy box. And, we got some details out of it. Like we're pretty sure it has a metal casing. The volume rocker's been moved to the side, so it's no longer on the back. It has a fingerprint sensor in the back, though, sort of like the 5X. And then it has a dual camera setup. So we don't know if that means we're talking 3D stuff. I don't think so. I think it's just more depth stuff, sort of like what HTC did a couple years ago with the One M8.
Which was also kind of 3D-ish.
That's true. They did some really weird 3D-ish stuff with it. Yeah. USB Type-C port, speaker on the bottom. And what else? Am I missing anything else? This dummy box doesn't show a ticker display, but maybe it's just not that easy to see. I'm not sure. And then after we got these pictures of it in a dummy box, all these case manufacturers spammed out their like early renders of the phone in cases, and they look exactly like our dummy boxes. They show a dual camera with the fingerprint sensor and then the volume rocker on the side. But we've also got specs, and what were the specs on this thing? 820, obviously, Snapdragon 820. We think a slide out bottom removable battery, which is kind of crazy, but kind of cool. SD card slot more than likely, because LG always does that. Is there anything else really missing? I think it's just going to be a more high-end sort of finished design, right? We're thinking metal.
For the specs, I mean, it sounds a lot like an S7, but made by LG. I mean, we're talking sort of like metal design and Snapdragon 820, a lot of RAM, fingerprint reader. And then, it's sort of odd them taking away the volume buttons from the backside and putting them on the side. Like,
I'm so happy about it.
I know you're probably not alone, but a lot of people I think are upset by this. Like that was LG's thing.
It was a terrible thing.
I don't think so. I thought it was perfect, and I'm probably gonna miss it.
The only thing I will say, like I get the because the power button still clearly is on the back side with fingerprint sensor or something embedded in there. Otherwise, I don't know where they're hiding a power button. I'm totally cool with power button and the fingerprint sensor on the back because I use the 6P and I think it's a great spot. My problem is like when you're in a call and you're holding the phone like this, your fingers are right there already touching the volume rockers. Instead of having to like reach your finger and sort of figure out which is which on the back, it was never that smooth of a thing. But your hand's like on the side, your fingers are right there, control volume. That is sort of how I look at it. But
I could see that, I suppose.
But I totally am down with power buttons on the back or fingerprint sensors or whatever. Totally makes sense. It just the volume rocker thing, I can get behind it moving back to the side. But you're right. Some people are a little sad about that.
They're pissed.
They are pissed. Rightfully so. LG sold them on that for how many years? When did that start? Does that start with the G2?
G2, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
That was a long time.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much all we know about it. I mean, look, we can't really talk about it, but Tim and I have seen what this phone looks like. It's pretty hot. I mean, we can't really say much else, but I think people are I think they're gonna enjoy it. I'll just say that.
Okay.
It's a nice looking phone.
And it's cool. It's coming soon enough. All we have to do is wait a couple of weeks and we'll see it. So it's good.
It's good, yeah. The other thing sort of related to what LG's up to is LG G Pay. And we're pretty sure this is coming at MWC, right? I think that's the latest rumor. I mean, I would be shocked if it didn't come to MWC. So LG G Pay is not a mobile payment system like most people think. It's not Android Pay. It's not Samsung Pay. It's apparently going to be a credit card like coin, and I don't even know how many more there are. So many people tried to do this thing. So it's basically a credit card that stores all of your other credit cards, and you can flip between the cards and pay wherever you want. So instead of ditching every single card and using your phone to pay for things, you're ditching all of your other cards and using the LG G Pay or LG Pay, I think, credit card, and I would imagine it's Bluetooth and it connects to an app, and if you leave it, things will beep at you and whatever, and you can remotely wipe it or something, probably just like Coin and all that stuff. I know. While I refuse to use Coin because everyone says it's terrible and I don't trust them with any of my information, you did use Coin. So do you have any high hopes here for LG to do this right? Or would you rather they just go back to the drawing board and go Samsung Pay route?
This could be a really cool idea because I liked the idea of Coin. I mean, isn't it a fantastic idea? One card to rule them all. You know, the downfall is that Coin does not work.
Right.
At least for me. I tried it multiple occasions. This was
Did you get 2.0, the new one? Did you try it?
No, because I think their support hit me up and they were like, hey, let's send you out a new model. I was like, oh, hell no. Like,
you're just like, don't bother.
You get one chance with me. And if the first one is that bad, then we won't be going at it a second time. So what happened? This was back in July. I remember because I was at a fireworks stand trying to buy fireworks with it. And every cashier I ever went up to with it said the same thing. They're like, whoa, what is that thing? That's so cool. I was like, yeah, I can go between which credit card I want to use and all that. Like, it's totally sweet. Then you'd swipe it and swipe it and swipe it. And like, just nothing ever happens. So I'd have to pull out my other card, my real card, and swipe that. And of course it works like it's supposed to. So if the technology can work, which apparently it works for some people who have the 2.0 version of Coin or whatever. But again, I'm sort of like you. I felt kind of odd giving a company I've never heard of all my banking information, all my credit card information, all that. It's like, of course,
that's making terrible products, by the way. I mean, it'd be one thing if everyone was raving about Coin and how great it worked. Like, they can't even get their major selling feature right. Like, why the hell am I going to trust them with my credit cards?
Yeah, so I feel the same way. I did not. Someone in the comments is saying you need 2.0. Trust me. Like, no, I'll just wait for LG G Pay. Thank you very much. But if they can make it work good, I would love to leave like my whole wallet at home, even though I don't use a big wallet. But you know, having just one card, being able to switch through them, the idea is sweet. And if the display is big enough to where it can display barcodes for loyalty programs and gift cards at Starbucks, Best Buy, Target, whoever. I love the idea. I just want it to work, and I want it to work properly. And I'm afraid that if it doesn't work like the first time around and LG has a bunch of like sync issues or whatever, then it's going to be a flop like 2.0. I mean, I've gone onto Google Play recently, and I was looking at the Coin app ratings or whatever, and it was bad. It was all just people saying this doesn't work. Like, I want my money back, because it was a Kickstarter thing, right?
Or was it just one of those pre-order?
It could have been pre-ordered. The only reason I got it, and this was the funny part, I got it because you had a free invite for it because you had pre-ordered it. I got my card even before you, the pre-orderee, got yours.
I never got the original. I remember I got a couple emails, and I think when they were supposed to distribute them, I just got left behind, and they just didn't even send me one. I just never got one. And then I remember you were using it, and I was sitting there going, well, wait, I didn't even get one. And I think I looked into it for 10 minutes, and I got run around in a whole bunch of circles and never did get it. And so I said, screw it. And then all of a sudden, months later, after you told me how terrible it was, I got the email. It was like, Coin 2 sending, it's on its way to you. And all of a sudden they just shipped me one. So yeah. But you're right. The Play Store listing is a 3-star rating on Coin.
Yeah, it used to be like a 1.5. But yeah, I mean, who wants to deal with that? Thankfully, this is not Coin we're talking about. It's LG G Pay. Yeah. And the card, you know, itself looks kind of cool. We've seen a picture of it. They call it, don't they call it white card?
The white card or something, yeah.
It's called white card, but it's a black card.
Black, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's... Yeah.
I actually kind of hope they do this, because at this point we don't need GPay to be a mobile payment app like Samsung Pay. We have Android Pay, and then we have Samsung Pay. But if this is a legitimate card that works and doesn't have all the bugs we've seen from some of these other ones, it could be awesome. And I would totally use it. And if it's not just stuck attached to, you know, like the G5, like say it'll work with other Android phones, which I don't know. But that would be awesome.
Well, all they would need is like an app, and I'm guessing it'll just work over Bluetooth or something. And as long as they have an app that works and can sync properly on any phone, it could be super popular. There was a point I wanted to make. Oh, so years I've been using credit cards for years, and that's what's been probably the hardest part of the mobile payment stuff for me, is sort of getting in the habit of, first asking a person if they support NFC or whatever, and like, who even wants to have that conversation. I feel like 9 out of 10 people I ask, oh, hey, can I use my phone to pay? They're like, what is that? Like, still? But yeah, it does happen still. Cashiers don't know what NFC is or anything like that. Bless their hearts. But, it's hard to adopt and adapt to a new way of payments when, the whole infrastructure of the stores don't have it yet, or people don't know what it is. So using a card, like a smart card, like GPay or whatever, with all my cards in it, just makes it seems a bit more practical from a user standpoint. So that's why I would use it over, say, like Samsung Pay or Apple Pay, Android Pay, just because I like swiping a card. I don't mind. I don't know, but I want it, and I hope they release it at MWC.
Yeah, because we're worried that for now, or at least to start, it might not come over here, right? It might just be in Korea for a while.
Yeah. So far, I think they've only partnered up with a couple of Asian card manufacturer, whoever's. So it's not Visa or American Express or anything.
Right. Well, hopefully they figure that out.
It'd be nice.
All right. So anything else with the G5?
Bring it on.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. I guess we'll see if dual cameras are really a big deal. All right. So the next thing then would be the new HTC phone, which I think we're all just sort of calling the One M10, though I swear at some point there was talk of them ditching the One line, but I don't think they are. I think we're all still calling it the One M10 for now. We got a spec report a week or so ago, and then today from Ev Leaks we got what is supposedly a picture of the phone, and then we also have word that they're probably not coming to MWC, and they may do their own sort of standalone press event outside of MWC, maybe in March or something. I would tend to agree with that idea. And I wrote up a whole long piece, probably too long, about this, that HTC in the past, they're basically the worst in the world at keeping a secret about anything. And so leading up to MWC, or whenever they announced the last couple of One devices, we essentially saw like full reviews of them for weeks and weeks before they ever even announced these things. And sometimes 4 months ahead of time, we knew what the specs were going to be and what it was going to be called and all of this stuff. It's crazy how poorly they can keep a secret. And so we haven't seen anything really until the last few days. We saw some stuff from Ev Leaks, but we're 2 weeks away from MWC. And in the last couple of years by now, we knew everything about these phones. So I would say, yeah, I would agree with the idea that it may not come until after MWC. But either way, this is what we're talking in terms of specs, which is, I think it sounds pretty good. So Quad HD AMOLED display, which should be a first for them, I think, right? They've been LCD. Forever. Yeah. What's in the One A9? Is that an LCD also? Or did they switch to AMOLED with that?
I think that's LCD too. LCD 3 or whatever.
Now looking it up. I wouldn't be surprised if it's LCD. Yeah. It is. We don't have it in our specs, but I would imagine it is an LCD. We just put full HD. We didn't say what it was. So AMOLED though would be a big change for them, and you and I are big fans of AMOLED, so that could be great. 12 ultra pixel camera. So this is what we wanted from the beginning, and then what we wanted in the One M8, and then what we wanted in the One M9. We wanted ultra pixel. We just wanted it in a bigger resolution, and so this is apparently the time. Maybe it took them 3 years to build this damn camera module. I don't know. But if you guys remember the ultra pixel, the original ultra pixel, which was 4 ultra pixel, had 2 micron pixels. And so they were huge and they captured light. And that's why at the time, the One M7 was great in low light, at least capturing light. It wasn't really the greatest camera because the resolution was so low, but it was really, really great at capturing light. And so if we're talking 12 ultra pixel and they keep those 2 micron pixels, this could be kind of a crazy camera. Then again, this is HTC and their cameras have never really been super amazing, but maybe it will be this time around. So the leak says 5.1 inch quad HD. So we're talking size of, Galaxy S7 in terms of size. And then they're ditching the boom sound speakers, which is actually kind of sad. That was like one of their things. I know they made the phones huge, but it's kind of sad to see. It'll be Snapdragon 820. It'll run Android 6.0.1 with new Sense, 4 gig of RAM, have an SD card slot. And then fingerprint reader in a home button situation. And specs sound amazing. The picture we saw today, look, I'm a hater. It looks like an iPhone. And
don't be such a hater.
I think it's garbage that HTC is making iPhone clones. And I know everyone is annoyed with me for just completely trashing on everything HTC is doing these days. But like when I saw the spec list come out, I was like, all right, HTC, this is your year. You could be back. I can't wait. This is going to be awesome. And then this picture that Ev Leaks gave us today, I took a picture of my iPhone 6 and put it right next to it. And they seriously look identical. Like they even made the home fingerprint button rounded now. So it even looks closer than ever to an iPhone. And I just think HTC is better than this.
Are they? Are they though? Like maybe 3 years ago they were, but I mean lately they've given us no reason to think that they are better than this.
I mean, it started with the One A9. Well, I mean, the One M9 was just a disaster of a phone. And then the A9 is when they started this whole iPhone clone thing. I just was hoping with the M10 they wouldn't do it again. They wouldn't just continue on with that same style. It's just, this is bad, dude. This is bad.
It might just be me, and I know you were talking to people in the comments section of this post as well, but I saw this and I was like, you know what? This doesn't look all that bad. I mean, no HTC black bar on the bottom, although it is missing boom sound, which is one of the huge selling points of the One series. But it doesn't look all that bad. I've always liked the designs of the iPhones, and I think they're cool. But do I want an iPhone hardware running Android? No, not exactly. But I think it could look worse. So I think it has that going for it. It could look worse.
I mean, so the iPhone 6 and 6S, I've never really been a fan of the design. I personally think it's a pretty ugly phone. I mean, the front look, it's just a black slab. I get it. Like the front's not that bad, but like the back side of the iPhone, I think is ugly as hell. But that's obviously personal preference. And so I don't want HTC to make an iPhone because everyone else says like iPhones are pretty, and so let's just copy the iPhone. Like I think that's terrible. I want HTC to do something that's like at least somewhat unique, or that HTC can call their own. I mean, this is just like, and this photo is by no means confirmed. Like last year, so Ev Leaks is right a lot of the time, but last year the world freaked when he showed us these 2 pictures. There were like, they looked like official press renders of this HTC phone, and it had, the black bar was gone, but it still had boom sound. And it looked amazing. And then that wasn't the phone. It turned out to be the really ugly One M9 thing that was leaking prior. So there's always a chance that this isn't the real thing.
Evan then tweeted that he has actually seen the phone.
I don't know. Did he?
He said, "Truth is, I've seen a more glamorous shot of this phone, and it looks better. Wait until the company shows you before passing judgment." Kellen, he subtweeted you. But yeah.
I'm sure he was subtweeting me. I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, he says he's seen a more glamorous shot. The front side, they all look the same, dude. My Nexus looks like that. This One X Plus looks like that. They all look like that. I think it'll be the backside where HTC really innovates. I mean, whether it's rounded, flat, maybe even squared.
Here, I'll show you. I'll show you what the backside will look like.
Like the One A9? Oh, man.
Here's the backside. This is an exclusive, by the way. This is the backside of the One M10 right here. This is it.
It's kind of hot. that space gray?
I probably. I don't know what Apple calls their colors. And I hate to be so critical of HTC. At this point, I just want HTC to do something cool, so like I can stop ragging on them for making iPhone clones. But
Debbie Downer.
I know I am too. I think maybe it's because I don't want to say I'm getting bored. We just talked about how excited we were about the G5 and the S7, and like everyone's doing cool stuff, and they're not making iPhone clones. Maybe that's what pisses me off so bad. Like Motorola's still making cool phones; they're not copying that. Like Samsung's doing really, really, really nice looking phones. The G5 or the G4 was kind of meh, but the G5 it looks pretty sweet. The 6P, like this is sweet. This looks nice, and it doesn't look like an iPhone. By the way, I saw somebody in this post was like, "Yeah, well, the 6P looks like an iPhone 6 Plus," and somebody put a picture of them next to each other and was like, "Yeah, no, it doesn't."
Well, they all sort of look, similar, with.
Well, yeah, it's a similar shape, right? Like, there's only one shape for a smartphone. Like, look, here's the little Xperia guy.
That doesn't look like an iPhone.
Doesn't look like an iPhone. So everyone else is making really nice phones that don't look like iPhones.
Yeah.
And then here's HTC. They're basically copying the exact silhouette and shape of an iPhone.
More power to them, though. Whatever they think will sell. I mean, or whatever will.
I hope it doesn't sell so that they stop doing it.
Well, they don't. I don't think they'll have much of a choice, dude. If this phone doesn't sell, I mean, how long can they go for, right? They can't rely on HTC Vive and people needing to dedicate entire spaces for their VR experience. And
I just hope this isn't. It's probably it, but
dude, that's it. That's it.
I know. I totally know that's probably it. So
if you're disappointed, then that's it. If like we saw last year, if you're excited about what HTC is doing, can't possibly be it. Not legit. Not. But this
so
confirmed.
Sad. We were so excited. I remember being genuinely excited last year when he posted those two renders. I was like, "Oh my god, this looks fantastic!" Wow, yeah. I mean, like if you're holding this in public and somebody comes up to you and goes, "Oh, which iPhone is that?" and then you have to explain to them that it's HTC, you would feel like such a chump. It's no, this is not an iPhone.
It's an Asian knockoff, and I wouldn't even be like ragging on it. It would be actually an Asian ripoff.
It's just sad.
I've never really been a big part of the argument where who copied who first, or, what came first, the egg or the chicken. It really doesn't matter. Like, kind of Apple makes a ton of money from their design. HTC does not, because, and like, that's really, so, I don't know. Steve Jobs had that one quote about our great artists and that they steal or whatever, and I think that applies pretty well here. HTC is just an artist. They also lost their designers, right? We don't know who's designing their phones. It used to be Scott Croyle and his team, and he was even like third in line. And then the first two guys left, and Scott is now gone working for the Nextbit Robin.
Yeah.
So who knows where their designs are even coming from? Well, we know they're coming from Cupertino, but like we don't know who's actually putting them together, right?
Who's coming up with the idea of, oh, screw it, this is a good design.
Could be Cher.
I mean, like, you can see like somebody just walks into a board meeting and goes, look at this design, this is our inspiration. And Cher Wang's like, sure, let's do it, let's make that phone. I don't know what it is. Sure you don't, Cher. Oh man.
Yeah, I hope no one's taking us too seriously. We're just having fun at HTC's expense, which may be rude, but it's all for fun. I hope that it's a good phone. I mean, like I said, I'm sort of
even at this point. I don't hope that it's a good phone, because I don't want their HTC clone that runs Android to be popular in any way. I know I'm being
not going to be popular. Don't worry about
at this point, but like HTC, look at the One X. Look at we just on episode 100, we were just talking about the Incredible and how great of a phone the Droid Incredible was. It didn't look like an iPhone at the time. The One X didn't look like an iPhone at the time. How many other phones? The Nexus One, all these phones that HTC's done over the years. And then, now there's like, whatever.
I remember the Evo, the HTC Evo 4G was quite a popular device.
It was hugely popular with chicks. It was that was a megaphone, and that looked,
beast.
It wasn't
it had the kickstands, like the Thunderbolt and all that.
Oh, the Thunderbolt. I was trying to think of the name of that earlier, and I couldn't think of the name of the Thunderbolt. Was a nice looking phone. Sure, it was a terrible phone, but it looked nice. Had a big, beautiful display. Yeah. So I guess I just hope that someday HTC will stop just making iPhones and will come back to designing. But like you said, all their good designers are probably gone at this point, so who knows?
Codename Perfume, whatever that means.
Yeah, it is kind of a weird name, Perfume. Whatever that means, yeah.
Scratch and sniff phone or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the backside is really innovative and looks nothing like...
It could be. Maybe they put the buttons on the
it looks nothing like this. Hopefully the backside looks nothing like this.
Dude, I swear, if it
has panels, if it has these two goddamn panels on it, I'm going to be so annoyed. If it has these, I'm going to just... And if it's this little baby camera module, I'm going to buy one and just do like a stupid smashing drop test or something like all those morons do. I just can't handle it.
All right, found my one
to make a normal phone. Do you have the 1A9?
Oh, the two panels like this one has? Can you see that too well? Yeah, two panels. No big deal. It looks like a thing.
Look, okay, hold it up.
Talk so we can all see that's an iPhone right here. Yeah, if you hide the logo or whatever.
Here you go.
Yeah, you'd almost think it was the same phone.
Okay. Look at this.
That's pretty incredible. Very interesting.
Wow. Well,
yeah, it's got the little home button and all that. This is a sweet little phone.
You just unbox the iPhone 5 SE or whatever that thing is people are rumoring.
Hell yeah. Oh no, there's some lint in the headphone jack. I'm gonna have to surgically remove that.
But yeah, switch to that. Hey, at least that phone's running Marshmallow.
That's true. It is. Although there was a reason why I didn't use this phone all that much.
Because the camera was bad and the battery life was bad, and
yeah, it was something like that. I thought maybe it had something to do with the radios and it not working. Or something. Maybe this was like an unlocked thing. I don't know. I'll figure it out. You
should totally take it for a spin this weekend and make sure you hang out with only people you know that have iPhones and see what they say.
Yeah, that's happening. Got a Super Bowl party this weekend, and
everyone will have an iPhone.
Everyone will have an iPhone. So
you should do it.
I will.
Just leave it on Wi-Fi. If you're at your house, or just whoever you're going, they're probably gonna have Wi-Fi. Just Wi-Fi and just see what happens.
Yeah, I'll try and if I can hide maybe the HTC logos and be like, yo, I got next year's. They all know I blog about Android, but I can be like, yo, I got the new iPhone. You want to check it out? And they're like, holy shit, this is sweet. Like Jimmy Kimmel does or whoever each year.
It's Kimmel, yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
All right. Anyway, enough about HTC. Hopefully they blow us away with the back panel. That would be great. That would be great. Let's see. So in other news, we'll whip through these quickly. So Sony's doing something at MWC. They invited us to an event, and no one knows what that is because their phones typically leak all over the place too. And they just released the Z5 and Z5 and Z5 and Z5 and Z5. There's like 5 of them. So we don't really expect a Z6. So I don't know what they're doing. Let's see. In recent weeks, Motorola said that their next phone will be here in July. And it will be more, I'm sorry, Lenovo said this, that Motorola's new phone will be here in July. It'll be more innovative and more attractive. I don't know what that means because Motorola typically does more innovating almost than everyone with little subtle things. I mean, I talked about the IR sensors today, or earlier in the week, but Moto Maker, how do you get more innovative and stylish? I guess you just get sleeker or something, or maybe you just build an iPhone clone.
It's possible. I mean, the Moto XP edition is already pretty beautiful in my eyes. So
yeah,
guess we'll find out.
Yeah, just tighten it up a little bit or something. Stop making white fronted phones that show off all the ugly sensors or something. Let's see. So we talked about this a little bit. I just wanted to point out the Android distribution numbers because you mentioned how we were blaming Samsung for Marshmallow's numbers to be so low. So I made a comment about how I thought it was terrible that we're like 4 months in, I think 4 or 5 months in, and Marshmallow's on 1.2%. But I looked at last year's Lollipop one, also in February. Although I can't remember when Lollipop came out. Did that come out in November? It might have been November. So this might even be a month less of time for Lollipop, and it was at 1.6% in February, and Marshmallow's at 1.2 with an extra month. That's not good. That's not good at all.
No.
And Kit Kat was on almost 40% by February, and it was, the second newest. And Lollipop's on 34%. So we're slowing down, which is not a good sign because each year I feel like less and less phones are being released. So it should mean more time for updates because there's less and less phones, and not good. Anyway, just throwing that out there.
I would like to say, I forgot, as I booted this up, I remember that Ron was actually the one who reviewed the 189 for us because it looks so much like an iPhone.
Yeah, we wanted his point of view on that, yeah.
Yeah, and he said it was phone of the year potential. So...
I mean, he's got to be fired for saying that.
Yeah. Bye-bye, Ron. But yeah, so I would definitely try and use it this weekend just to see what people think about it. They'll love it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they will.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
You're fine. Let's see. Oh, so the Android Mirror. Do you want to talk about the Android Mirror? This is one of those like really random cool things that showed up this week that everyone wants and no one has.
Yeah, so over on Medium, a Googler just told a quick little story. He was like, this is something I wanted, but I couldn't find something exactly like it, so I set out to make it myself. And because I'm an engineer at Google, I can do these types of things, and I have the know-how and the resources to do so. So basically, he got a few components together, like a two-way mirror, Amazon Fire TV stick, which powers sort of the Android APIs that he utilized. And so what it is he's got a digital readout, essentially like a display, and you can see the display through the two-way mirror. And basically, it shows you the weather, forecast, top news stories, calendar, stuff like that, and all on your mirror. So when you're getting ready for the day, brushing your teeth or whatever, you can see what's going on in the world. And I thought it was a really cool idea. It's definitely still like a ways to go. Like he opened it up and you can see all the wiring and stuff. So I don't know if it's good to like shower heavily and like have it fog up and stuff. But considering there's so many wires exposed, but it looked really cool. A lot of people were saying it was great, and that there's a lot of people on forums that are sort of like showing you a step-by-step on how to make something like this, which I thought was cool. If you're, more into like the DIY type of stuff, I'm not. I mean, plus you'd have to get a mirror, to match your current layout of the bathroom and all that. Total pain, but it looked great. I know you initially thought it was just a concept.
I thought it was, yeah.
Because it looked so clean. Right, but it was real and working, powered by an Amazon Fire TV stick. Originally he created it hoping that it could be powered by a Chromecast. Guess it wasn't working too well. And then he tried a Nexus player, and we all know those things suck. So that didn't last long. And so now it's Amazon Fire TV stick powered.
Isn't that funny that a Googler's like, I got to go with the Fire TV stick. It's the best option.
It's too much, dude. But yeah, super funny. But there it is. I mean, it looks cool. You guys should definitely check that out. Anyone here likes little projects like that?
That's right, because somebody did say that there's a couple of Reddit threads or something running, right, where people are figuring out how to do it and talking about it. Mm-hmm. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. So in other sort of big news, SwiftKey was bought by Microsoft this week.
Dang.
$250 million. Apparently SwiftKey was struggling to find ways to make lots of money, even though they're about the most popular damn keyboard there is.
Yeah, well, they switched to that free model. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean they switched to free model, but they also, even though they licensed their technology to like everyone, I think Samsung was licensing their technology for a while. They probably still are, and yeah, they couldn't make enough money, so they said, yeah, Microsoft, come get us, $250 million. And the two founders were each going to walk away with at least like 30 mil or something, weren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, you get 25. Yeah.
Not too bad.
It's not too bad at all.
SwiftKey and Microsoft said that nothing will change. I don't think I believe that at all, but they said that the apps will still be available and they'll be free and all that good stuff. But I mean, after Microsoft killed Sunrise Calendar, which was like my favorite app of all time, I don't trust them at all. I think they're dirty.
Yeah, it's not that going back to that whole free model thing, it's not that it was a bad move like financially, because then they offered new ways to kind of make money, like through personalization packs and all that. But as someone mentions, the free model expanded their user base, which means more user data, which is great, I guess. You know, everyone thinks that every company out there is now like a data mining company who then sells it to third parties and stuff. I don't know if that's exactly true because I'm not on the inside, but of the establishment. But that seems sort of hard to believe, I guess. But
Yeah, they probably are.
Microsoft have been bolstering their like the mobile app ecosystem a lot. Like you said, I mean, they bought out Wunderlist and then Sunrise and now SwiftKey, and all for whatever reason, because they're probably going to be making an Android phone soon here, right?
They have to, right? Don't you think Microsoft's next? I mean, BlackBerry did it.
Yeah, so why not?
Microsoft might as well. If Microsoft wants to make phones, they totally should just make an Android phone.
I agree.
I don't know that anyone will buy it either, but they should. Might as well. Everyone's making Android phones. Because there's basically two mobile operating systems at this point. I don't know that that's a good thing. Android. Yeah, I mean, I know it's technically been that way forever because no one wanted anything to do with BlackBerry or Windows Phone for the last 5 or 6 years or whatever. But like, it really is just these two. Like, BlackBerry said this week that they're moving to Android, and Windows Phone is basically dead. So, like, this is it. Firefox OS announced today that they're done. So that's not, I mean, not that that was actually a thing, but like, that's done. There's nothing else. Like, you buy an Android phone or you buy an iPhone. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, well, luckily for Android, there's a ton of different phones to choose from.
Yeah, exactly. And they all have shitty skins. So, you know.
God damn. Hating today.
I am hating a lot. It's Friday. Fired up. 3:12. Probably need a beer. All right, you want to run through a couple apps and then we'll just wrap this up. We're over an hour.
Yeah, sure. The one app I have today is to talk about X Paper. It is one word. It's actually releasing tonight. This is a DL exclusive. Okay. I don't have a link, but I'll be writing it up later down the old road. But X Paper, so what it is, it's actually quite interesting. So you open it up and you can input into the app what the aesthetic of your phone is. For example, if you have like say Kellen's, for example, if you have a teal color with silver accents, then you can make the wallpaper a teal color with silver accents, and so it'll match the phone. And from what I saw when I was playing with it, exclusive beta access, they pretty much had all the colors that you would find on Moto Maker, like for the bodies of the phones. So it was cool. And then you can change the designs of which way the accents are going and all that. I thought it was a really cool little app, you know, for those Moto Maker fans. And there's a lot of those people. So once the app is out, it's going to be out later tonight, if I'm correct. I'll be writing it up. And so, you know, if it comes out tonight, then you probably won't see it until Monday, at least from when I write it. Like, I'll probably tweet it out maybe, but you won't see a write-up of it until Monday. Because I got to get ready for Super Bowl stuff. But X Paper, I don't know how much it's going to cost. I think it'll be free.
Is it only going to be for the Moto X, or can anyone?
No, I'm sure it'll be for everyone. Although that information, I don't know. All I know is that I played with it, and I thought it was pretty cool for a wallpaper app.
It just seems like a really small group of people if you're only going to make it for Moto X. Yeah.
The developer who we know before, he's the one who worked on Now Paper and a few other, but he's a big Motorola fanboy. Not that that's a bad thing. I mean, it's great. Moto money's good, but he's definitely a Moto fanboy. So I think that's why he might be doing it, just to get some more love from Moto and him showing love, them showing love, whatever.
Maybe he can sell that idea to Motorola for their next app. Like, that's what Motorola needs to do, is things like that. You know, when you buy a phone through Moto Maker, they try to put a custom wallpaper with it, but they're usually terrible. If they let you sort of design your own, that would be sweet. Another addition to Moto Maker, design your own wallpaper.
Don't give him any ideas, dude. He might try and sell it now. Now we'll have to take a cut
That's
because
true.
it's our idea, so we get the Moto money.
We'll pitch Motorola for you.
Yeah, absolutely. We can just take the idea. It's fine.
All right, so an app that we've seemed to be talking about a lot in the last week or so is called Chroma Keyboard, and it's spelled CHROOMA. And we looked at it a week or so ago because it came out looking a lot like the Google keyboard, which is the keyboard I use. Are you still using normally the Google keyboard every day? Is that what you?
I use Chroma now.
Okay, but you normally are a Google keyboard guy, right? Yeah. Yes. So we're normally Google keyboard guys, and we checked out this Chroma keyboard because it essentially seems like they just took the Google keyboard and then made it really colorful. And essentially it adapts to whatever app you're in and changes the color of the keyboard to match sort of the theme of the app. It's just really cool. Sort of like UI experience. Like if you open Gmail, you get a red keyboard. If you open Inbox, you get a blue keyboard, and it's sort of chain, or Hangouts, it's bright green. And then it also will adapt depending on the lighting situation. So instead of bright green in Hangouts, if you're in a dark room, it'll put out a dark green color, so it's not blinding you. It's just this really cool experience that you get when you're typing. And then it's like the Google keyboard. So if you appreciate the way Google keyboard types and autocorrects and all that stuff, it's really nice. And then you can also add a number row and adjust the size of it and things like that. We gave away a bunch of promo codes for it, and I think it's even on sale right now for $1, and I think it was $2 initially. So
$1.49, pretty sure.
Is it $1.49? Okay, I think it's on sale now for 99 cents. So it's a nice little keyboard, and I think a lot of people have picked it up because of everyone likes it, or a lot of people like the Google keyboard, and it just sort of gives you a new experience. The other app is. So I'm a freak when it comes to tracking packages. So being in this industry, I get packages delivered to my house almost every single day. Actually, I think while we were on the show, the post office person was like knocking on my door. And so I think I missed a package. But anyways, I track everything. And so there's this app called Parcel Track, which I've switched to recently. And it is by far the best tracking app I've used. And I've tried to use almost all of them. For a long time, I was using Aftership. But Aftership won't connect to an account or sync between devices. And so if I would jump between one device to another, like all my tracking stuff was on another phone, and it was a terrible experience. So I ditched Aftership, tried an app called Deliveries, which is okay, but I think the developer has sort of abandoned it for the most part. And I settled on this app called Parcel Track, and it runs really light and smooth and fast, and it's awesome and syncs between devices, and it's great. So I would highly suggest checking out Parcel Track. It's free, and then there's an upgrade if you want to get a bunch of premium features like syncing. So, yeah, that's it. So it's Super Bowl weekend. I am not hosting a party. Thank God.
I am. Yeah, I'm the one hosting the party. I should have been more specific.
That's rough. I mean, you're in a new house. You got to host everything for the next 3 years, I think.
Yeah.
It's just sort of what happens. I will be going to a party, and I don't care who wins. I think you're rooting for the Panthers or something.
Yep, Panthers all the way. Sorry, Peyton, you're going down. No, I just don't. I'm down with Cam Newton's attitude towards everything. Like, dude, I'm here. I am what I am. Love me or hate me, I'm gonna take this all the way.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate that. Dude's a baller.
I'm not a Cam Newton fan at all. It has nothing to do with this year and the stupid reasons people come up with for hating him. I don't like him because he was on Auburn when they beat the Ducks in the championship. And not that I'm this massive Oregon Ducks fan, but someone that lives here, I do tend to cheer for them because they're kind of like our local professional team, if you will. Because come on, they're like professional football down there with Knight just tossing cash at them. It's awesome. We have our own professional team in their college. So yeah, because they beat the Ducks, and that was the year there was all this controversy around him, like how he had taken money somewhere, and he was just kind of they basically kicked him out of Florida, and I don't know. He's just kind of a clown. So I'm just not really a Cam Newton fan. I do love it though that he's just throwing it in everyone's face right now, like how they're all pissed at him for dabbing. I still can't believe we're talking about dabbing, by the way, but the fact that everyone's so mad at this dude for like in the end zone doing a little dab and like that that's reason to hate this guy. Like, people have been celebrating for years, and people used to do far worse, more demonstrative dances than Cam Newton doing a little dab. Like, it's just so stupid. So at this point, though, I do like the fact that he's just throwing everyone's face like, you guys are all dumb. Like, you hate me just because I'm me, and like, there's not even a real reason to. So, but I don't know who I'm rooting for. I think maybe just so Peyton can win one more on his way out. I mean, he's so old, dude, and fragile. Like,
Exactly.
it's time to go, Peyton. Yeah, he might like, yeah, I don't want to say he might die, but like, the dude is so old and fragile. But I think I would just rather him go out and win one last, and then Cam Newton can win all the other championships he wants to after this.
I wish both teams the best. I don't have any money on the game or anything, so I really don't care. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, the Panthers just look so good when they play. I mean, considering how badly they gave it to the Cardinals, I mean, I said they made Palmer look like he was still in college, and that was crazy. So I don't see the Denver doesn't have any weapons like Panthers do. So I'm sure people are going to argue, all those diehard Broncos fans, and I know a few too. I see them on Facebook all day long. They love the Broncos.
It's because we're in the Northwest. People are Broncos fans for whatever weird reason.
For whatever weird reason. Like, dude, have you even been to Colorado? Anyway.
Do you even
Mile High City? It's literally a mile high.
It is.
Crazy. Yeah,
it's good crazy. City. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, that's happening. Everyone be safe out there on your Super Bowl parties, because I know you'll all be drinking. So just don't drive. Just don't do it. Uber, call your grandma, call someone else to pick you up, something. Be safe out there.
Crazy.
Yeah. All right. Any other final words? Call it a week.
Call it a week. Have a fantastic weekend.
2 shows in 1 week, by the way. That's pretty big.
It's the most we've ever done. You probably won't see us for another month.
No, we will take the next month and a half off. Actually, we'll probably be here regularly. Yeah, we got so much going on. It's going to be fun for the next month or two.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, again, yeah, be safe, everyone. Episode 101 in the books. We are Droid Life. Peace.
Peace.